I already generated the AI voice acting earlier today, so our challenge is going to be to put it into the game. But here's the thing, guys. I'm going to need to go get some ice cream to make sure that I have energy to do this because, okay, I I stopped working at cafes around 6 p.m. I came home. I took a little nap because I woke up early this morning. And then I was like, why don't I watch that last Mission Impossible movie on streaming so that I could maybe watch the new one in the theater or something? And like, oh my God, dude. That movie is so bad. And it makes me so tired just to watch it. Like, I fast forwarded through some of the action scenes. And like, the movie looks like it was filmed sort of like Mad Libs and mixed and matched. And you can tell that that happened because I swear, I swear in the promos for the movie, like the early stuff, they were showing scenes where like Sniper Lady from Dune was like shooting at guys on top of the train at the end of the movie or whatever. But then in the movie as shipped, she like dies halfway through the movie. So like all this stuff must have been like randomly shuffled with reshoots and shit. Like I don't even know. It was so bad. The new one is a lot better. You saw Gladiator 2. Okay, I will not see Gladiator 2. That is across the line for me, but I'd rewatch Gladiator 1 though. All right, I'm going to get ice cream back in a minute. Back in a minute. Okay. Oh my god, dude. What flavor is the ice cream? Vanilla bean. Okay, this is going to be a real short stream. It's just so funny. It was like I was going to do a long stream like 2.5 hours ago, and then I decided instead to watch this movie, and now I want my 2 hours back. temporary voice acting that's never going to be replaced by real actors because it's good now. If you think current AI voice acting is as good as real actors, my suggestion is do not be in charge of quality control for a video game. Like, okay, so the 11 Labs voices, which is what we are using right now, and will probably be all that we use because we're going to have real acting for the final game. The 11 Labs voices are not very good at readings, okay? So, like, for example, let's play one that I generated earlier today, assuming we are updated. Sokoban, run tree, data, sound, temporary VO. Yeah.
Miss Levitt, the entry portal has closed, a bit sooner than expected, so I'm on my own for the time being. Status on my harness is lavender, as it...
So, like, the tone of the voice is not awful, but the reading and the enunciation and the pacing and all that stuff is just super bad. Like, if somebody came in for a voice audition and read something like that, they're just fired instantly, right? There's like no... It just sounds like an audiobook. That's true, but audiobook readers are also terrible. Okay, so here's the thing. We've got a story entity that we used to use, but that is set up so that you can't stand on it, and I want to make one that you stand on, and so I might just make a totally new entity. So let me just see. So we have this is audio only. So we should be able to, do we? Yeah, so I'm going to make an entity called voice log. All right. And this is going to be version 1. And we're going to have the name. Okay. And pretty much, I guess we're going to have viewed or played. And we will set that to true when it is played. And we're going to need some default meshes and all this stuff. And we don't have a mesh for this right now. No, the people who read audiobooks are usually terrible. Because they're done, they're done trying to be as cheaply as possible. So like it's all one take. The person has never read the text before. They don't understand what it's saying. The exceptions being like when you get an author reading their own book, that tends to be good. All right, let me get the water. Back in a second. I'm probably going to be listening to a lot of audiobooks on my upcoming road trip. So sad. Sad. You've been impressed by audiobook readers' range of characters? No, that's the worst part. Oh my God. The absolute worst part of reading these books in the fucking, what is it? The spaceship series with the robots and all that shit is like, the reader like doing fucking campy characters for all the robots. It's like so cringe. Just read the story. Like, let me use my imagination. You don't have to like put on a dress and pretend to be a robot. What are the books called again? The Culture series. That's what I'm thinking of. God, it's so bad. Like audiobook wise. Some people like dresses. Yeah, but I don't want to look at dudes put on dresses and dance around. It's not my thing. So I also don't want the audiobook version of that. It's fine. Like, and it's not the robots that's the bad part. It's like him doing woman voice for all the female characters. It's like, oh, it's so cringe. It's so cringe. Any chance I'd want to play Night Rain with one of my random chatters? I don't really have time to play a game like that right now because I'm moving in 3 days and I won't have my desktop computer and all this stuff. Sad. A slight affect to indicate that it is not the narrator. Yeah, I could get behind that policy. But like full on Monty Python dudes playing women is like horrible. It makes me feel like I'm back in Shakespeare times, not in a good way. I don't like spam. Okay, let's try to get something done. So, I want to run the old version of the game for a second, and I'm going to get the mesh that goes with story for now. It's this thing, and we're just going to use that for now for this new entity. Okay, we've already got it here. So voice log is going to get this, and we gotta go back here, and we gotta do this. All right, and then in simulate, we're going to want to clone some stuff from story, like this stuff. So this is what makes it flash while it's playing or whatever. And we don't need this enabled because they're all enabled now. But if played, we're going to set this, else we're going to sine wave it. I guess this one doesn't flash yet while it's playing, but that's fine. All right. Now, audio only. All right. So player control triggers voice log. I'm just doing this because we're going to delete all the story versions of things. I'm saying voice log instead of log because we have a function called log. All right. So we're just going to keep this the cutscenes viewed. Oh, maybe not. Maybe we don't care about that. So it's play cutscene. That's weird. Let's play bark name. Okay. Okay, so in theory that should do that. Now we need to go to activate. Maybe not. Where is this called from? Triggers story. Enact move. Toggle friendly. Wait, what? What is toggle friendly dragon on? F. Okay, that's a weird one. I mean, I see it. I remember why we did that. For this, I feel like I want to put it on activate. So activate. Do activate. All right, so So we're just going to copy this. We're going to go to activate. So there's like HUD prompting that we're going to want to do and all this stuff. All right, we're going to have to take care of that in a minute. So if we see that, we're going to do this of that. And this is really just find type at manager. I feel like I always get this in the wrong position, so we might have to swap those arguments. Okay. Wanted pointer to guy. All right, sync offset. That is code that we copied. What is this? Invaders. All right. Okay. 1072. That's fine. Let's put that on there. This just lets us control the flashing. If we want to sync it with another one, if there's two in the same place, which there may not even be, but we're just going to do that. Okay, I guess I got the arguments in the right order. So before we even run this at all, let's just keep going and try to do everything. So the next thing is going to be, we want to prompt you. We want to prompt you. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so voice log is find type at hero dot position manager voice log hero dot position. If voice log, we're going to do HUD prompt UI voice log. All right, and we're just going to, that's just a HUD bitmap. Where's my bitmaps folder? I'm not seeing it. UI wand. We're just going to copy this. UI voice log. So now that we have done that rename, it is no longer visible. What? What is going on? I have no idea. I guess it didn't update the modified time because we just copied. All right. So, UI voice log, activate voice log. All right. F, opacity equals 1. F, press F to pay respects. Let's go on the intro levels. Okay, so let's just voice log. Nine comma minus 16. Wait, minus 16? Why the fuck is this level underground? Like, what the shit? Why did we do that? All right. Let's give it a scale of... I might do this just in the draw proc, but I want this to look plausible. Okay, so this is going to be... what was our... temporary VO and intro 1. Intro 1. I don't think I have a way to toggle subtitles yet, amazingly. So maybe they're on, maybe they're not. Let's see.
Miss Levitt, the entry portal has closed, a bit sooner than expected, so I'm on my own for the time being. Status on my harness is lavender, as expected, so I believe I can pull the ripcord anytime. But in case I become lost, I'll leave copies of my notes, should you send someone after. I'm standing in a place definitely built by people, an anteroom. The decor is very strange. Whoever made this, we haven't seen their works before. This room was made for a large gathering, but the place is empty. Still, I feel as though I'm being watched.
Well, it works. There we go. That's our deliverable for tonight. And then, what's the other one that I did? Intro before teleporter. So when you get over here, right now we have a sign that says, here there's going to be the first audio log. No, this is the second audio log. All right.
Miss Levitt, it's very strange. There are signs written in a foreign language, but my mind implicitly understands the meanings. The signs make clear that they made this place for strangers to find, which explains why we found these parameters hot on the hill climber scans. It was intentional. There's something ahead that I'm a bit worried about, so I doubled back to leave this note.
Okay. Cool. I mean, that was all I really wanted to do in the whole stream, and we're only 30 minutes into the stream. But there we go. It's a free fire zone for me to write more of these and put them in the game anytime. I could look through my notes and maybe write a multi-character one to put somewhere. Actually, so do we have on the character, I think, we could put a bark flag. Initial bark delay. Let's try 0.9. Her initial bark is going to be this one. This is all very temporary. Don't take it seriously. All right, cool. That didn't work. It claims it played it. Claims it played it. Wait, this is 20K? I guess it's short.
What just happened? What is this place?
That's all we want her to say right now. These all can get deleted. Actually, not yet, because we want to make sure we replace them with new stuff first. Why did that not work? It claims I'm free. Finally. Oh, you know what? I know what it is. So what's going on is, I think if there's only one thing, we don't play to the end. Right. Do we hot load the subtitles? I'm going to have to debug this, but I'm pretty sure it's got to do with just having one thing. Undermine 2 demo.
Huh? What just happened? What is this place?
Miss Levitt, the entry portal has closed, a bit sooner than expected, so I'm on my own for the time being. Status on my harness is lavender, as expected, so I believe I can pull the ripcord anytime. But in case I become lost, I'll leave copies of my notes, should you send someone after. I'm standing in a place definitely built by people, an anteroom. The decor is very strange. Whoever made this, we haven't seen their works Miss Levitt, before. The entry portal. This room was made for a large bit gathering. Sooner than expected. The place is empty.
So that's some behavior we want to change right there. So first of all, we should stop any other playing audio log, and if our audio log is playing, we just want to shut ours off. This is making video games in 2025. I mean, to be honest, it's pretty nice. Like, historically, if you wanted to do temp voice like this, like for The Witness, we did temp voice, but I literally read it all because you could do automated voice back then, but it was the really terrible Stephen Hawking sounding robot voices, right? And they were so bad. And it was also just like a hassle. Like, I don't even remember. I looked into a little bit how to do that. And I don't know, you had to like license someone's SDK and whatever. Like, it wasn't worth it, right? But now there's just like very simple website that'll do the thing for you, right? So it's much easier now. Okay. So we're going to have to fix this eventually, probably, but I'm not going to worry about it yet. Let's do, yeah, it's goofy. We also, you know, we want to change the prompt to like shut off. Let's what was the icon called? Okay, I forgot. This is a good system. We're going to rename this UI voice log activate. And then we're going to have a deactivate. Okay. Okay, so here we're going to say I don't know. So if we just stop, so we're gonna okay, so we want toggle behavior. I literally wrote all this code for the witness, but we're writing it again. No big deal. It's not that complicated compared to everything else. All right, so where do we draw the subtitles? HUD. Draw subtitles. Okay, we're going to do this. Voice log is playing. Target to bool. Name is equal to target. Okay. So that's great. Stop all voice logs. So get playing subtitled. Track and time. Do we have a soft stop? I guess we just schedule for destruction it. All right. Okay.
Miss Levitt, the entry portal has closed. A bit sooner than expected, so I'm on my
That
own
didn't
for
work.
the time being. Status on my harness is lavender, as...
So it's probably not flagged voiceover, because we're calling this play bark. Well, maybe that should be, I don't know. Play bark. Table find. Find the instant. If it's got an embed. If sound, voiceover. So we do say play bark, right? Yeah. So that is printed here. Okay, maybe the schedule for destruction doesn't stop the sound. Let's just cowabunga oriented programming, right? So I just want to validate that we're putting stuff in the to destroy list when we hit this, and that's just not stopping the sound. You're moving to golden. Why are you moving to golden? Do you like beer? What's the deal? You want to work at
Miss
Red
Levitt,
Rocks?
the entry portal has closed. A bit sooner than expected. Miss Levitt,
Yeah.
so I'm on my own. Miss Levitt, a bit sooner than expected.
Yeah, so that is indeed what is happening. That is the value of cowabunga oriented programming. Okay, so what do we do? Sound simulate. Update sound player. Yeah, so someone edited this recently, and I mean, it was good to edit it. So basically, I wrote this code a long time ago, and it was very early in the game, right? Because we wanted to get sound going very early, and it was before we had done a lot of the modules in the programming language. So I just wrote this out, and there's some stuff about killing sounds that no longer exist, right? And then I made an abstraction to make it easier to do that stuff. I think by starting with this code and factoring it and stuff and making sure it worked in invaders, right? But then I just didn't want to change this because I didn't want to break it at the time. So somebody else changed it recently, and I think this is one result, is that we're no longer cutting off sounds. It doesn't. This isn't the sound system that we're going to use anyway, so it's questionable whether I should make it work this way. But I sort of want to, because otherwise, like when you go to the menu or even go to another level, it's going to keep playing all the sounds. But maybe I should just put in if statements for that anyway. Yeah, let's do that. So all right. All right, so what is the manager ID? Do we use that? Yeah. Okay, so back here. When we stop this voice log, we're going to say sp.find it.entityId, I guess, right? Although we're also going to want to set the ID when we play it. Yeah. So we should have like a soft stop, right? I always have soft stops. So how does that work? So we probably have a flag that says fading out. Yes, fading out. All right. Stream.internal flags is fading out. Because you don't want a hard cut, right? You want it to go. All right. Now, we also, though, want okay, when we, instead of calling play bark, well, we'll call play bark. Where was the entity ID stored? This was on the stream, right? Dude, there's all these fucking overloads of play sound. I kind of hate it. Kind of hate it. No, I guess not anymore. Oh, this gets set in the entity pass. All right, so do we have a source ID on here? Source entity ID. There we go. So hopefully that'll do it. If not, we'll actually look and make sure that there's code to put that on the sound stream. Yeah, Invisible Cities is a very short book. It's easy.
Miss Levitt, the entry portal.
Hey.
Miss Levitt, the entry. Miss Levitt. Miss Levitt, the Miss Levitt, the entry portal has closed a bit sooner than expected. So Miss Levitt, the entry. Miss Levitt, the entry portal has closed a bit sooner than expected.
Okay. Okay. It's maybe almost bedtime soon then. So let's make it flash while it's playing, right? I don't know. That's a random number. Let's oops. I almost made a noob mistake. Okay. That's like a yellow, and we'll go like a violet. I don't know. Have it change. Whoops, not yet. Have it change color. Okay, hold on. This is so we're going to want to change how we know whether this is playing, but whoops. Yeah. Okay. Color palette gives a very positive feeling. Well, that's great.
Miss Levitt, the entry portal has closed. A bit
It's not
sooner
fast
than
enough.
expected, so I'm on my own for the time being.
Let's see how it is when we start. Whoops. Didn't. Come on. Okay. Okay,
Huh?
there we go.
What just happened? What is this place?
So it's this mellow. And
Miss
then we
Levitt, the
play
entry
it,
portal has closed. A bit sooner than
and it's
expected.
much faster, but we want it even faster. We want it. Whoops. Three times as fast.
Huh? What just happened? What is this place?
All right.
Miss Levitt, the entry portal has closed. A bit sooner than expected, so I'm on my own for the time being.
It's maybe a little too
Status
fast
on my harness
'cause
is lavender,
you
as
just see
expected,
blink.
so I believe I can pull the ripcord.
Well, we're running at low
anytime.
FPS because of
But in
debug
case
build
I become
right
lost,
now.
I'll leave copies of my notes, should you send someone after. I'm standing in a place definitely built by people. An anteroom.
How good or
The
bad of
decor
an
is
effect
very
that is
strict.
depends very much
Miss
on,
Levitt, the entry port. Miss Levitt, the entry.
you know, what
Miss
the actual
Levitt,
mesh
the-
is going to be.
Miss Levitt,
It's
the
not
entry
gonna do
portal.
this.
Miss Levitt, the entry portal has closed. A bit sooner than.
Anyhow, I think that's going to be it for me tonight. You know what I'm saying? Did we put any no check-ins? See, we went in 1 hour. Oh, our Cowabunga. In 1 hour, we went from not having voice acting in our game to having voice acting. Now, I did generate the actings earlier, and I did already write a different version of the code. So, you know, whatever, but it's fine. It's fine. Oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. Yeah, I'm ready for bed. But there we go. And now I'm going to go on my road trip and I'm going to be writing story for the game. It's going to have the most story of any game that I've done. I tell you what. Yeah. Okay, we don't want that. We don't want that. Add the voice log entity place some in the intro. So I guess what I'm going to be doing, if people who are frequent visitors to the stream may recall that actually a couple years ago at this point, more than 2 years ago, because I was living in Florida, I made some voice recordings that were just me recording stuff, right? And we're going to replace those this weekend and add some more of them, and then we'll ship the build to people. Besides the audiobook narration, is the Culture series a good read? I mean, here's what I will say. I finally sort of broke down and listened to them on audiobook a couple years ago because a lot of people over time had been hyped about them as really good science fiction books. And I did not really find them to be super good science fiction books. They're weirdly misanthropic and hate humanity in a way that's not overt. It's really weird. And anytime I detect that, it just makes me really not like things. That's especially true like in the first book, whatever that one's called. the one with the depressed guy who has sex with cat girls. Um, but it like it's a thread through all of them. And I mean that's not necessarily a completely disqualifying factor, but even by itself it makes me like books a lot less. But then I don't know. Let me put it this way, the core there's like the idea of the universe is pretty interesting, like the overall setting of what's going on and what is this civilization and how did it come to be and who else is in the galaxy and all that, right? Like that part's good, but like then the actual stories that he chooses to tell, I don't find to be very good. It's kind of like William Gibson that way. Like I can't read William Gibson anymore at all. Oh my God, I read his most recent book. It was straight up terrible, dude. But ignoring that, even going back to his earlier books, it's like he just doesn't believe in anything, and you can feel it when you read the book. And it's not great. You like most of the culture books? I don't even know how many there are. I feel like I read most of them or listened to the audiobook of most of them. But I feel like I did like 4. What did I do? I did the depressed guy having sex with cat girls who's trying to save the baby spaceship. I did the gamer who cheats at games. That was fucking horrible. I did. Is that the same one as the girl who lives on Halo? Or is that the different one? Well, those are the only 2 I remember, but I did more than that. Like, they're just not even memorable. There's 10 in the series. All right, let me look at the names. List of culture series books. All right. Consider Phlebas. I did Player of Games. Use of Weapons. I did. I don't remember. Is Consider Phlebas the depressed guy? Yeah. Having sex with cat girls and saving the baby spaceship. What is Use of Weapons? Is that the girl who lives on Halo? Surface Details like a short story collection. I didn't read Hydrogen Sonata. Maybe I stopped around here, but I thought I did at least 4. Use of Weapons. What is this book? Use of Weapons synopsis. Oh, this one. I remember this now. This is like a dude who's like a mercenary and lived a hard life. And I forget what the point was. Yeah, I don't know. You have a bunch of Stevensons that you never finished? I mean, they're long, dude. Except for his new book is his new book is being released in parts. So part one is actually a tractable, readable length. And yeah. What happens to authors like Neil Stephenson, because he writes 1100 page books, and like reading just went off a cliff over the past 10 years, right? Like, who reads 1,000 page books at all anymore? I mean, I just did. I just read frickin' um, Against the Day, which was, I don't know what it was about that book, but it was very slow reading for me. I mostly like the book, but like it took me 8 months to read it, dude. It's just very dense. Favorite Stevenson book was Anathem. Yeah, that was a pretty good book. Anathem was weird though. And like there's all sorts of things. So in Stevenson, there's stuff that I don't totally like sometimes, but I think he did do it intentionally, right? So the thing about Anathem, it's kind of like it's got this whole section that's kind of like Cryptonomicon, or he did this a lot in the earlier books where it's like you end up traveling across the entire planet to do some mission, right? So they do that in Anathem, but it didn't to me come across as real, right? It came across as like kind of this abstract journey, which is at odds with you feeling like the rugged, long hellaciousness of it. But I feel like that's intentional because it's kind of a spoiler, but the whole book is about there's this ladder of different levels of reification of reality. Like some realities are other realities, like idealized versions and so on, like in a chain. And that one is like somewhere south of ours, right? And so, I mean, it's interesting, and in the end, I don't totally know what to think of it, and that's a sign of an interesting book, I guess, right? I would say the first half of Anathem I really liked a lot, and then once they went on like over the pole expedition, I didn't love that part, but then the ending part I liked, but the ending part was also like a lot like Greg Egan short stories and stuff, which I also liked. So it was weird. The end of Anathem was like I was rereading a Greg Egan novel. But I like the book. Yeah, it is one of my more favorite Neil Stephenson books overall. You never finished Cryptonomicon? Here's the thing. I didn't read Cryptonomicon for years because I heard something about how he was mischaracterizing Linux in it and whatever. There was like some stupid like nerd rage scandal at the time. But then I read it later and I found it was really entertaining at the time. I mean, I read it a long time ago now, right? Like 20 plus years ago. But I liked Cryptonomicon. They finally managed to make the guy rage post. I didn't hear anything about that. I didn't read any of those books. But like, dude, I mean, he owes people the book. You can't like get people invested like that and then not write the fucking book. Traveler was a mixed bag, but overall a good read. Okay. I mean, here's what I would say is some of this I reread If on a Winter's Night a Traveler a couple years ago. And I will say that some of it is dated, right? So like if you know a lot about computers now, then there's stuff in the book about like sorting stories by word frequency that's supposed to be like important or funny, and it's like a little too basic and naive in the modern world of computer stuff. But for the 1970s or whenever he wrote it, I think it was fine. Um, I just there's some stuff in If on a Winter's Night a Traveler that is pretty favorite. But here's what I'll say: is Cosmic Comics is more like Invisible Cities than If on a Winter's Night a Traveler. So if you liked Invisible Cities, you probably like Cosmic Comics more. Hey everyone, hello. I finished doing the deliverables. Did I check in though? Did I check in? I think I did. Right, I did, because I had to not check in the couple of modified files that I didn't want to check in. I remember doing that. So I think we're fine. I think I could go to bed. You can't read fiction anymore. Well, that's probably not good. I recommend. Here's the thing: the reason that I read a bunch of Neil Stephenson books in a row and the culture novels is because they're long, especially Neil Stephenson books. And I was like, I need to get my attention span back. That's being ruined by the internet. So I read like 3 of his books in a row that I hadn't read before. The Master and His Emissary, and you're on page 90. Yeah, I don't know that book, but that is exactly how it was with me reading Against the Day. It's really weird. Like some books are just a lot more dense, even though they look like the same number of words on the page. So I would be reading Against the Day, and I would get to like 12 pages, and my brain would start getting tired. So I couldn't. I basically wouldn't often read more than 15 pages in a sitting, right? And it's 1,000-page book. So that just like and then, I would put it down and not pick it up for a few weeks. Yeah, it took a long time to read. You tried so many times to finish Snow Crash. I really liked Snow Crash when I read it, but I read it in like 1990 or whatever, 1991. Against the Day is a tough one. I mean, here's the thing about Against the Day. There's a lot of things I don't like about it, especially as it goes on. There's like too much gross sex stuff and whatever. And there's too much communism, right? But like, it's also a masterpiece at the same time. Like it's obviously a really good book. And it's a really subtle book, and there's a lot about it that's really interesting. And I will never understand the book very well, right? But that's interesting. It's like a rich source of material. But I also don't there's some parts of it that are so good, and then there's a lot of parts of it that I never want to read again. But it's still a masterpiece. I don't know. It's difficult. You read 5 pages before you lose focus. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm going to bed, everybody. And I'll see you all later. See ya.